American Airlines is responding to a viral video showing passengers verbally abusing flight attendants after weather diverted their flight.
I want my butt off this entire flight to be called a drama queen. We're going back to the gate.
Oh, God!
But the fact that we get insulted and mistreated by passengers over things that we cannot control, it is disgusting. Shame on the passengers who have made this flight a living hell.
So that flight attendant had had enough. So what drove that exhausted flight attendant to his breaking point? Well, travelers on the flight claim it was the abusive behavior he endured from at least 2 passengers. So joining us virtually is Brent, who was not only a passenger on this flight, but also filmed the video you just saw, which has now been viewed online nearly 2 million times. So Brent, thanks for joining us.
Hey, Dr. Phil, it's awesome to talk to you.
Well, it's good to talk to you as well. And you were proud that this flight attendant stood up for himself and his crew, right?
Absolutely. I work customer service. I work DMV. I have worked during the pandemic. My wife's a nurse. So it was great to see someone stand up for their crew and stand up for themselves in customer service.
Yeah. So you work for the DMV?
Yes, sir. 11 years now.
Yeah. So you get a fair amount of abuse.
You have no idea. We get cussed out so much. It's like an everyday occurrence, honestly.
So what were these passengers doing that this attendant said, that's it, I've had it, we're going back to the gate?
Well, to give you an idea, this was a flight from LAX to Charlotte. We got diverted to Raleigh because of bad weather. So we were not the only plane that had to land because of this. So we're sitting there to refuel. And when I say we're sitting there, it was 5 hours before, almost 5 hours before we actually took off. So about a couple hours into it, everyone had to wear masks like you're supposed to. You bought the ticket, you agreed to do so. Well, this female flight attendant goes up to a man a few rows behind my family and just leans over and politely asks him to put his mask on. And I guess this quote unquote man was on a business call and he couldn't be disturbed or troubled with that. So he called the flight attendant a fat gorilla and told her to suck just because she's trying to do her job.
And there was somebody else that was abusive as well, right?
Yes, sir. So literally, as we're about to taxi off and take off after being on the runway for 5 hours, the captain comes over the intercom and he says, "We're about to take off finally. If you're using the bathroom, please kind of wrap it up." And literally, this man just stands up. So the lead flight attendant you see in the video, he asks him politely to sit down. He kind of confronts the man, tries to force his way into the bathroom, and calls him a drama queen when he tells him to sit down. So the lead flight attendant gets over the phone and tells the captain that we're going to turn back and go to the gate, and because he's already threatened the first man that called his female flight attendant that's under him, the one that called him a flat gorilla. He already threatened him to either be quiet and sit down so he can take the flight, or we'll go back to the gate and law enforcement will be waiting. We didn't think the video would go viral, and by we, I mean me and my wife. And so as soon as we saw it kind of take off, we made sure to contact American Airlines and commend the flight crew and tell them, we work customer service as well. My wife's a nurse, and we just appreciated. We didn't want to get them in trouble by the video. And they responded and they supported their crew, which American Airlines has a fan for life with me.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that as well. And, I think one of the things I hope people realize is, and I agree that policy-wise, some of the government agencies like the DMV and some of the airlines do things that frustrate customers. But what they don't realize is you don't make those policies at the DMV. The flight attendants don't make the policies for American. They're just the ones on the front line that catch all of the flack. I don't understand how it is people don't get that.
It's just an entitlement. That's what it is. Working for the DMV, it's great. Don't get me wrong, I work with some awesome people, but it's not an easy job, even during regular conditions. But the pandemic has just thrown gasoline on this fire.
Do you have a story or a question for me? Click the link in the description and tell me what in the world is going on.